What's going on? Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining me for another episode of the Full Heel Podcast. This is episode 43, I think. Doesn't matter. I'm joined by Jesus Monsoon Mendez.
Yep.
What's going on, Jesus?
Not much.
Glad to have you here again.
Glad to be here again.
I don't know how long it's been, but it's been too long.
Yeah.
Too long. And
It's been like a month.
Probably around there. So I'm excited because I got wrestling talk. A lot of wrestling talk. I've been watching a lot of wrestling, a lot of old school wrestling, a lot of WWE, recent WWE. I don't know if you've kept up with Survivor Series or the recent NXT takeover. But I don't know, Dallas, I think, too. Whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it
Electric
was.
Boogaloo.
I mean, let's just say I watched what was important.
Yeah.
The rest of it was filler.
So there's something I've been getting into recently just because doing these old school WWE reviews, I'm getting my old timeline together. And then doing them with other people is getting my timeline together as well as helping me get it together by talking about other, like, their wrestling experiences. So it's intrigued me to go back and start studying some N.W.A history, the World Heavyweight Championship history.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty far back.
Yeah, so I've started going back, and I want to go back from the beginning because that's kind of the title that holds the most prestige that is still carried on kind of today.
In a sense, yeah.
In a sense, because
Yeah, like I believe WWE still follows the lineage of it.
mm-hmm.
So I think the big gold belt essentially is now the universal belt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I think it's its own thing now, which
Well, I know that with the previous
well,
with the previous brand split,
mm-hmm.
they still had the lineage. So like you can go and see who was champion in.
But do you know Triple H had his own lineage to a WCW title as well?
Wait, what do you mean?
To that big gold belt, because they've taken it away and reintroduced it when they've unified it and then brought it back.
Okay, yeah.
When they
right.
brought it back, Triple H had he's known as the first, I think, because it's the world's heavyweight title. They
Right.
renamed it and they dropped the lineage, and now Triple H is the first ever. You can actually go and look it up on.
Okay, yeah. See, that's what I was talking about. I guess I might have gotten confused there.
So, it's kind of bullshit that they would do that because.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is.
The reason that I want to look up the title is because that's the most prestigious title, is because Dusty Rhodes has had it, Harley Race has had it, Ric Flair has had it. It was the N.W.A title because it was the first organization of wrestling, and it started. And I'm going to get more into it. I'm going to study it more and more and get more into depth, probably in an episode by myself, or if you want to.
Well, yeah,
if you want to study it yourself.
It started when Jim
all the
Crockett,
regions.
Jim Crockett Promotions broke away from the N.W.A.
Well, but before that, there was the AWA that splintered away,
Right.
and then CWC splintered away, which turned itself. That was part of the. So all the regions kind of formed to. Each region had its own champion,
Right.
and they all wanted their own world's champion.
Yeah.
So all the regions came together and said, look, we're going to make one world's champion, and he'll travel around helping out all the regional champions.
Yeah.
And we'll all decide on who the champion is.
Mm-hmm.
But each region wanted their guy as champion. So what started happening, they started splintering away. First one was AWA. That one stayed its own. And then it just continued on its name. And then the CWC continued into the WWWF,
Right.
the Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Right.
And then Jim Crockett Promotions turned into, well, they went on their own, but they went bankrupt.
Yeah. And
Oh no! What happened was they were still part of the regional promotion with the NWA, but they were going bankrupt. The promotion in
Right.
that region,
Right.
And WC or
Turner. That's when Turner came in, took over.
Turner came in,
Turned
took
it
over.
into WCW.
WCW.
And then you had at one point you had two champions, and I remember because I think the champion was Ric Flair, the N.W.A. champion was Ric Flair, and then you had Rick Rude with the big gold belt.
Yeah, so one was the WCW champion, and then the other one was the international WCW champion, which later they unified as the big gold belt.
Right.
And then it just turned into the big gold belt, and that's WCW. And then there's another organization that splinters off of there as well. So it's ECW. So what happens is everyone goes on their own, like, well, so... all those companies can lay claim to a world champion because they wanted the world champion, and they were all part of the NWA, and they splintered off at that time. And either their guy had a championship and didn't want to drop it, so they left.
Right.
And they took off with the belt, so they could stake claim to a world heavyweight champion. So that's why the AWA could stake claim to it. WWWF could stake world claim to it. WCW could stake claim to it. And then NWA is like, fuck, shit. Let's hold a tournament.
Yeah.
So they hold a tournament, and they decide to broadcast it on Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Yeah. That would be the tournament that Shane Douglas eventually won.
There you go. You got it, bro.
Dropped.
See, you got your title. History. See, I need to go back and do all that. This is what I'm going to do. This is my own thing that I'm going to do and talk about it because I don't know that you can join me as well, but it's something I'm going to be doing on my own and talking about it and doing podcasts on it.
And that was an awesome match. It was Shane Douglas and Too Cold Scorpio, who would later go on to WWE to be Flash Funk.
Okay.
Do you remember
I remember
him?
Flash Funk, yeah.
Yeah.
So Shane Douglas wins.
Yeah, he wins, and then he cuts a promo. And he
drops
throws the title on the floor.
The actual
one,
NWA, because they let them use it and everything, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's typically known as the Globe.
Well, so what
title?
So let's see if you can give me some insight, because I was just reading this and like it's hard to find videos on like maybe what actually happened. So was it NWA's whole idea at the time, or was it their angle to have the tournament and then have ECW branch off as their own? Or did Shane Douglas, working for ECW in that region, was told by the promotion to do that?
I believe he was told to do that so that they can.
So NWA was screwed.
Yeah, so that they can.
Okay, that's what I understood.
Their themselves as their own promotion. I'm not sure though. I need
to go back and find that out myself. I'm going to go back and do a more in-depth thing about it.
I think the one who orchestrated everything was Todd Gordon, who was running ECW at the time, which was Eastern Championship Wrestling. And then when it became Extreme Championship Wrestling, that's when Paul Heyman would come in and take over. At first, it was him and Todd Gordon running it together, and then eventually it was just Paul Heyman. I think they had some kind of falling out where Todd Gordon just kind of stepped away, and yeah.
Okay, so this is all interesting, awesome stuff to me, because I didn't like being a wrestling fan. I started not late, but I started where I started. This is long history.
Yeah.
And this podcast has kind of kicked me in the butt to actually go back and check out the history from like day one of the NWA.
Yeah, and like I myself just know bits and pieces of it. But I find, especially lately, that the business side of wrestling is a lot more interesting than what's actually going on in the ring, at least to me.
Well, once everyone started seeing the business side of it and seeing why their champions weren't champions in their region and started seeing the storylines behind the scenes, that's when people started breaking off, because they started seeing they started seeing it for themselves. They couldn't cover up why this guy lost the title, and they gave it so and so.
Right.
They had so they're like, fucking no, our guy's champion. So they started breaking off and doing their own thing.
Right. So it was almost like a power struggle kind of thing among the territories.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things that Vince McMahon says. He'll say something along the lines of like, "Oh, I didn't destroy the territories; they imploded on themselves," or something like that.
Well, from what I was seeing and reading, apparently, like once it started hitting television and people started seeing like the back politics and everything, and you couldn't cover up storylines, that's when people can start staking claims to champions.
Yeah.
They're like, no, well, he's our real champion. He never got beat. You can't just say it anymore. Like, now it's actual. Now it's televised.
Right.
Now everyone's seeing it.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of times where championships were defended off air.
Well, yeah, before it went national and it was televised and all that, everything was local.
Yeah.
Everything was territory based. So, if you were in our area, I don't know which promotion would have been, local to us in the Midwest, but we would have had our own, and you would just have to wait until the promotion was coming through for you to actually go see them, and they would run shows a couple times a month, or every couple of months, and that's how you followed along. You would actually have to go to these things. They wouldn't be televised.
I want to ask you about Ring of Honor after this, but so ECW can stake claim to it as well because N.W.A held a tournament for their title of a heavyweight champion, and then they split apart. So now we have AWA, WWE for short, and WCW, ECW. Those four brands. But then we have one more that split away from N.W.A, which you're a lot more knowledgeable on than I am. A ton more. That I'm going to have to start diving into just because I found out its history now. TNA has the NWA championship. So NWA lets a popular regional promotion, TNA, borrow their championship. They're like, here you go. So they're part of the NWA, the TNA, pretty much.
Well, at this point, it gets a little weird because WCW, when TNA comes along, WCW is long gone, and you have Jeff Jarrett. He can't go back to WWE at this point. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of like, well, I'll just start my own thing, and he did it under the NWA brand, and he called it TNA. But yeah, I mean, NWA TNA was essentially what WCW was supposed to be in a sense. And I remember those things, they had a weekly show, but you had to buy it on pay-per-view, and it was $10 every week. And it was like, I'm not buying that shit for $10. And if you go back and watch some of the earlier episodes of NWA TNA, some of that stuff is not good.
So that's what it was called? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was just called NWA TNA.
And then I know in 2007, TNA's like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, in 2007, they dropped NWA.
But kept the lineage.
Yeah.
For the title.
Yep.
They're like, we're still going to use your past champions. So, fuck you guys.
So, it was kind of weird because... yeah, they kept the lineage, but they dropped the title. They got their own TNA title, and they had their own belt. They dropped the NWA letters, the whole thing. They're their own thing, but they're still kind of trying to bank on the NWA name.
Mm-hmm. So can Ring of Honor stake claim to a World Heavyweight Champion if they've never beat the first lineal champion of a splinter off of the original NWA champion? You get what I'm saying? So Ring of Honor is just Ring of Honor. They come from nothing. It's just them.
Yeah, it was just them. That's a good question.
Like...
They have their own lineage.
That's just them, right? Just
yeah, they would have their own lineage,
which is kind of wah, wah.
No,
in comparison to NWA.
No,
I'm not saying in comparison to talent level because but they've had some great talent go through the Ring of Honor doors.
Right. I wouldn't shit on their lineage.
It's really young, or really
Because their lineage has Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan.
Did AJ start there?
Yeah. Well, no, he started in WCW, so he did some matches for WCW, and then.
But he got popular. He's known for being in Ring of Honor.
He's known for being in Ring of Honor and then TNA.
Mm-hmm. So what about? See, now I'm interested to find out. What about New Japan? How long have they been around?
Oh, New Japan's been around since like the 60s.
Why do they only have 12?
Or I don't know. I shouldn't say they've been around that long. Because they've been around a while.
Why do they only have 12 Wrestle Kingdoms? See, this is what I want to figure out. I need to go Wikipedia this and find videos that aren't in Japanese.
So Wrestle Kingdom is a thing that they started very much later on in their
promotion,
in their existence. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why. But I'm not quite sure how far back they go, but I know they go back a ways.
I remember Hogan talking about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember when he went over. That was one of the first times he left WWF, right? And he went over to New Japan and won the title. He wanted to fight the Great Muta, I think.
Yep.
Or Inoki, or not Inoki. Was that Japanese guy that kicked Muhammad Ali's legs? Or was he Chinese?
It was Antonio Inoki.
Okay. Was it Inoki? Yeah. He wanted to go over and face him, and he talked how great they were. So they've been around since then, at least. Because I remember the Great Muta held the big gold belt as well.
Yeah. Yep.
When it was first introduced, and some other New Japan guys held that belt because it was an international WCW belt at first.
I mean, I'm just starting to get acquainted with New Japan and their lineage and their history. So, I might not be the best, person to ask.
Yeah, brother. Well.
But yeah.
Well, I'm gonna start doing this as it's Full Heel Podcast. It's wrestling, and I watch fights all the time anyway, so that's not gonna stop. Now I'm diving deep, and I'm kind of finding what I like, what I want to do for the podcast for now. My mini project, I guess, for the podcast, as reviewing old pay-per-views and finding some history that I find interesting.
Yep.
Like I was thinking about going into Scott Hall's whole thing, even if it's just 30 minutes of his whole career and his whole timeline of his career, how he started and where he ended up, and the Diamond Stud with Diamond Dallas Page in the WCW, and before that, see what I can dig up, because I know he had
in the AWA. He started, I believe he started out in the AWA,
or
that's where he gained some notoriety, at least.
Which they died in the 90s, I think, 1990.
He had the Rick Rude porn stash.
Yeah.
Porn mustache.
Well, out of those promotions, who's left? So AWA's dead. WCW's dead. ECW's dead.
Yeah.
So the only ones that are left are WWF and TNA?
Yeah, but TNA technically...
It's on its last...
It started...
It's beaten.
It started in 2003. So I wouldn't say that... I wouldn't say that it's got a rich history just yet. But
it's
man...
It's got the N.W.A title, bro.
That thing...
The N.W.A, it's...
TNA, Impact...
They carry on the belt, bro. The lineage is there.
Whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's got 9 lives. And then some.
It survived.
Yeah.
Corgan tried to take it over, and then he wanted to sell it to
Corgan is actually now owns the NWA.
He owns the NWA, and he's going to try to do something with it, I believe.
Oh, and he should. I hope he does something productive with it.
He feels very happy having it because it's part of history. And like I said, I went back and I checked it out because it is part of history, and I wanted to see the lineage. And I'm going to go back, and they mentioned a lot of names, and like I said, I'm going to dive into a little bit of the names, and not super a lot of history, just because people wouldn't know, just like their major achievements and how long they were fucking champions for, because some of these guys were champions for a couple of years straight.
Yep.
Vern Gagne, the Nature Boy, fucking, what was it? Not Ric Flair.
Buddy Rogers.
Yeah, Buddy Rogers. He's one of the guys that splintered off the WWWF. I forgot who went off with Crockett. No, they just got bought out because they went bankrupt.
Yeah. Again, that's when Turner came in.
Mm-hmm. Lou Thesz, I think, split off to do the AWA. Like I said, I'm gonna get more in depth into this, and I'll probably do like another podcast on just the history of the N.W.A. and the Big Gold or the World Heavyweight Championship, and where it is now, because it should be the WWE belt, right?
Yeah, it should
Wind up there.
Yeah, I feel like title lineages at this point, the way WWE treats it, it's almost like when you have this is gonna be a really bad comparison, but it's almost like when you have a certain race mixing with an indigenous people, and before you know it, everything is diluted.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it's like. It's a really bad comparison.
All right there, Jesus. Yeah, no, but I don't know why. Well, like the diluting. I don't know why WWE would dilute stuff with introducing of a new gold belt lineage.
Well,
it looks exactly the same as the WCW belt.
I know, and that was their mistake. They shouldn't have done that.
They just what they're doing with the cruiserweight title now.
Yeah,
like they called it the cruiserweight title, and I know the cruiserweight classic happened, but why not have a cruiserweight classic every year? And that could have maybe not, but don't have a whole new fucking lineage for the cruiserweight championship. I don't know. Call it something else.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what else you can call it, but yeah, I can see the argument there, because with the big gold belt, so you know how you said Triple H is the first champion listed. That's when Vince basically gave it to him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was back in like 2003.
I think it was the second reintroduction of the.
Yeah,
because they introduced it and then it got unified and it became the undisputed.
Yeah,
and then they did a brand split and then it got reintroduced, and I think that's when they gave it to Triple H when they did the brand split.
Yeah, and they just straight up gave it to him and he was champion.
Yeah.
And that's where their current lineage starts. But what they should have done was just had a whole new belt.
Yeah, like introduce a whole new look. Even though I really like the big gold belt look.
Yeah.
But if you're not gonna keep the lineage, why make it look the same?
Yeah, it can be a little confusing in that respect. But as far as the cruiserweight thing goes, it's the same thing. It's a whole new lineage. It's a whole new division. They're not taking into consideration anything WCW did. So, except in this case, they did introduce a new belt.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's the same is the name.
Yeah. On a side note, does the WWF have or always hated the Rhodes family?
I don't know. I don't know what their beef with.
There's definitely beef there. There's beef there, dude.
Or the Runnels family.
There's beef there.
If you think about it, because Dusty Rhodes left Jim Crockett / WCW right around the time when Turner came in and bought him out. Dusty Rhodes left. This was in the mid to late 80s. And he came to WWE. And he wasn't the Dusty Rhodes you would have remembered, who would come out with the black trunks and the cowboy boots. He came out in polka dots.
And he was dancing all wildly.
Yeah, and he was dancing.
And it was called polka. They were not called, but they would call them polka dots.
Yeah.
And then he had some black lady with him.
Yeah, Sapphire.
Yeah, Sapphire.
How racist is that? Because the Sapphire is blue, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure a Sapphire is blue. But anyway, yeah.
She was all American, bro. What are you talking about? She related to me and you.
Sure. And then you had the natural Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes?
Yeah, come in from WCW as Goldust.
Yeah, I saw his old gimmick, which they let him use at Starrcade this past weekend. They let him come out as Dustin Rhodes.
Was that on the network?
Nope. It was off air,
It
not a pay-per-view.
It should have been
What?
a network exclusive.
Yeah, it should have been.
They messed up. But yeah, you had an established babyface in Dustin Rhodes coming in as Goldust.
Which is a great character, but...
It's a great character, but you give it to somebody who had an established...
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't think you can really put a heavyweight title on Goldust. You could put an Intercontinental title, European title, tag title.
Yeah, I don't think Goldust was ever meant to be a heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and
world champion, the Winged Eagle champion.
Yeah, and I was discussing with some guy at work today. Like, look at Cody. He could have been Finn Balor before Finn Balor came into the...
Yeah.
Not the whole gimmick, but the whole leather jacket. The look. The cool guy, yeah. Hey, I'm the cool fucking... Not outlaw, but the cool loner that fucking... Just the cool guy.
Yeah, just like that suave but badass. Yeah, GQ looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have had him like that, but they didn't. What was his gimmick before?
Stardust.
Before Stardust.
Dashing Cody Rhodes. He had a mustache.
Yeah, I remember the mustache. And he was teamed with
Jeez, I remember him.
I forget his name.
One of the first things that they had him do was teaming with Hardcore Holly. And he was just a generic guy. He was Cody Rhodes. And then after that, they had him teaming with Ted DiBiase Jr., which would they would have Randy Orton come into that mix, and they were Legacy. Nope. And then after that, he branched off on his own. He grew a mustache. He was Dashing Cody Rhodes.
I remember the mustache.
And then they had him do whatever the fuck with Damian Sandow.
There we go, Sandow.
Yeah.
And then they had a whole little storyline there where Sandow betrayed Cody and won the Money in the Bank, and then he didn't cash in the Money in the Bank. Sandow.
He did, but he lost.
Yeah, he lost. That's what I meant to say.
So, yeah, and look at him now. I think...
Isn't he playing a gay dude?
I think he's done.
I think he was playing a gay dude, and now he's done.
Yeah, now he's done. And Cody...
Not that there's anything wrong, but I think his gimmick just wasn't getting put over at all.
Well, no, I think something like that... It's like I was telling you a little while ago. There's some things in wrestling that wrestling needs to get away from. And I think that's one of them, just because of the society that we live in today.
What about Velveteen Dream?
Man, you know what? Everybody loves Velveteen Dream, but you know who did that gimmick better?
Prince
Iakea, the artist formerly known as Prince Iakea. Look it up. His theme song was Purple Rain. It was like an instrumental of Purple Rain.
I'll look it up. Was he in ECW?
He was in WCW. He was
okay.
He was in the dying days of WCW.
I was gonna say because ECW illegally used all the music they wanted and never paid any.
They had a knockoff instrumental version of Purple Rain to where like it sounded just different enough, but still recognizable, so that like they can use it. But if you look this up, I remember being like 10, 11 years old and thinking, fuck, this is awesome. This guy's awesome.
Purple Rain.
But yeah, Velveteen Dream. I can get into him.
Yeah,
but
he's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Enough of old title talk, old wrestling talk. We're here to talk about the Montreal ScrewJob and the Survivor Series. 97.
That's a damn good event.
Thanks. Survivor Series 97.
Yep.
You remember a lot about it? You have to do. Your wrestling knowledge is it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I do remember a lot about it because it was such an iconic pay-per-view. How could you not?
Yeah. The first match, 4-on-4 Survivor Series match. The Godwins and the New Age Outlaws. Was it everyone against everyone? No, I think it was the Godwins and the New Age Outlaws versus the Headbangers and the New Blackjack. Sorry, I haven't seen this. This was 2 weeks ago that I saw this pay-per-view, or 3 weeks ago.
Same. And I only remember the important bits.
Yeah.
The New Blackjacks. Oh, that was terrible. It was.
How long did that tag team last?
Not very long. One of them was Bradshaw, and I
Bradshaw.
think the other one was Bobby Duncombe Jr. He would, after this, he would go to WCW, where he would be one of the West Texas Rednecks. Then he would get injured, and when he was away, healing up, he passed away.
You know who the Godwins remind me of? Luke
Wyatts?
Harper. Yeah, the Wyatts.
Yeah.
Luke Harper and Bray.
Yeah.
Or not Bray. Luke Harper and the other guy.
Rowan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They remind me a lot of those guys.
I could see a lot of them in I could see a lot of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in the Godwins.
How long
and vice
before
versa.
the you didn't know joined DX?
I think at this time
Was DX even formed at this time? No, right?
I
don't know.
I'm not sure. I think because the next pay-per-view called In Your House Degeneration X?
I don't know. I think it might be. Is that when it's formed?
It had to have been formed by that point, but I don't know that there was any association at this point between the New Age Outlaws and Shawn Michaels and Hunter.
No, there wasn't at this point. At this point, it was only Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. And Billy Gunn, I forget what his name was, but he was with Honky Tonk Man.
Rockabilly.
Rockabilly?
Yeah.
And that shit was not working.
No, it wasn't.
So Road Dogg came out, and he's like, hey, join me, dude. And then Billy Gunn hit Honky Tonk Man with the guitar.
Yep.
Forming the New Age Outlaws.
Yep.
But yeah, at this time, they weren't part of DX. They were just the New Age Outlaws. But soon after that, they had to have been DX.
Yeah.
Not long.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the next pay-per-view after this was called In Your House Degeneration X.
Why were they all in your house this year? Like, all of them were in your house.
Were they?
Well, a bunch of them. Canadian Stampede was in your house.
Why that was the branding for the non-Big Four pay-per-views.
Okay.
So they every year was like that. They would have In Your House
All of them?
events. Yeah. And they would be less they would cost less than the Big Four, and they would run less. Like they would be 2 hours instead of 3. So that was the gimmick.
You remember the Headbangers?
Yeah, I remember the Headbangers. Mosh and Thrash.
Yeah, you like the Headbangers? They're one of my favorite tag teams. I don't know why.
They were okay. They were okay.
Fuck you, bitch. They did a reincarnation recently, right? Of the
Well, they came back.
both of them, or was it just Thrasher?
Both of them came back.
Okay.
On SmackDown.
Yeah, for a little bit, right?
I think it was only one match, like a year ago.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken.
something like that.
Yeah. They should come back. I could get into that.
But the Godwins and the New Age Outlaws win. Match number 2, the Truth Commission.
Dude, what do you remember about the Truth Commission?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't remember anything, even from when I saw them. It didn't jog any of my memories.
Was this when they had the Jackal?
Yeah, they had the little dude, the Jackal.
Yeah.
And they had the big guy, the
Interrogator?
Yep.
Do you remember their names?
No, I don't remember them at all. I remember the Disciples of Apocalypse.
Yeah, I remember them.
They had corny ass names.
Yeah.
Like Crush and 8 Ball
Skull.
and Skull.
Chains.
Something
Chains with a Z.
something like that, yeah.
Hold on, let me see if I can remember the names of the guys in the Truth Commission. There's the Interrogator, Recon,
Yep.
Sniper,
Yep.
the Jackal.
Yep. That was it.
Oh, that was it?
That's it.
Okay.
Unless they had some other rendition, but that was the rendition at that point.
I think they had, well, they had another incarnation where, like, they had some guy named the Commandant, and he was like their manager, and then out of nowhere they replaced him with the Jackal. He had awesome hair.
The Jackal?
Yeah.
It looked like the Jackal should have been part of Raven's Flock. WCW.
Yeah. I could see that. He looked like a miniature Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, the Truth Commission wins, though. The Interrogator takes out the last two, I believe. He's a powerhouse, but very stiff. I don't know if you remember his wrestling, but he's very, very stiff, very Frankenstein, esque.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was in one of the. He was one of the oddities.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember?
I remember hearing it, but I need to watch it to jog my memory.
Okay.
How do you remember all this? Did you go back and watch it? Anytime in your...
No? Believe it or not, there's shit. There's just random shit that I remember.
No, there's random shit I remember too, but just not this. Just not that.
And just because I was so into it, that's why I remember it. Man, back then, life was just wrestling and Pokemon.
Yeah, I remember a lot about Pokemon. Team Canada versus Team USA. Who was your team?
Probably Canada, just because of the guys that are in there.
The British Bulldog, Doug Furness,
Phil LaFon,
Jim Neidhart, and Phil LaFon.
Yeah.
They defeated Team USA, of course. They were in Canada.
Yeah. I feel that they should have done more with Furness and LaFon.
I don't remember a lot about them.
They were very underutilized, and they shouldn't have been. They did a lot more in ECW, but they were underutilized in WWE, and they shouldn't have been.
Sable, though. But your boy Vader was on Team USA.
Yeah. You know what? I don't get why you don't like Vader. If you see his earlier work...
I haven't seen a lot of his stuff.
If you do go back and watch some of the earlier WCW stuff, you're going to see a lot of Vader, and it's pretty good. He had some good matches with Ric Flair and...
And Ric Flair?
And Sting.
And Sting.
Yeah. The White Castle of Death match.
Steve Blackman. How long was Steve Blackman around?
Years.
He was around for a while, wasn't he? Because I remember him facing Shane at some point.
Yeah.
Like
for the hardcore.
In a crazy match, yeah, where Shane falls off the Titantron.
Yeah.
Then he climbed up. Doesn't this guy hit him with like a kendo stick that makes him fall when they're up there?
I think so.
Something like that. I don't know.
That I don't. That's a little hazy.
But yeah, he was a mixed martial artist. Apparently, he wore black martial art pants and
that was his gimmick.
A white shirt. Yeah, that was his gimmick.
Yeah, he would come out with glow sticks.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah. He would come out with glow sticks and like do ninja moves
from the beginning. I remember the glow sticks, but he wasn't coming out like that from the beginning.
Mm-mm.
No, it had to be later on. I think it was something he was trying to work on.
Yeah.
But Team Canada wins, and then the fourth match, Kane with Paul Bearer versus Mankind.
Yeah, this was something I didn't remember too much.
The storyline of this?
Yeah.
Mankind's pissed because Paul Bearer went to the Undertaker and told him, Kane's alive! Kane's alive! And then at what was it? SummerSlam 97, Shawn Michaels faced The Undertaker. Or no, this was at No Mercy.
No, SummerSlam 97 was Bret Hart.
Yeah, sorry. This was No Mercy.
No Way Out.
I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of pay-per-views. I think you're right. No Way Out.
Yeah, No Way Out was The Undertaker and Kane, I believe.
Well, it was the same year, all right?
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what pay-per-view. It was one of them. I did a review on it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think No Mercy and No Way Out were the same... I don't know. The same month.
I don't know either.
It was just... Okay, whatever. Shawn faced Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. And that's when Kane.
That's when Kane came out.
Yeah.
And Jim Ross was like, that's gotta be Kane.
No, that was Vince.
That was Vince?
Yeah, that was Vince.
That's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be Kane. And then Kane tombstone pile drives the Undertaker. Shawn wins, gaining the title shot against Bret Hart. At Survivor Series.
So where does Mankind come in on all this?
So Mankind is pissed because he's dropped by Bear as a manager because he's Kane's manager now.
Okay.
So Mankind's cutting promos on like how fucking crazy he is and like how he got.
That's a legitimate concern.
And he got dropped by Paul Bear and like he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a legitimate concern.
So Kane hasn't had a real match up until this point. He's just beating the shit out of everybody. He's coming in, interrupting matches. And Mankind's going to be the first one to beat him. Yeah. I think this is his first match. I don't think he faced the Undertaker for a while.
No. They were really building that up.
Yeah. He came and hit him with the pile driver, and they didn't face each other for a while.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, Undertaker was saying I would never face my brother Kane.
Yeah.
Kane came out, hit him with the pile driver, and we didn't see Undertaker for a while. And Kane, I think, was coming and just wreaking havoc, trying to get to the Undertaker. And then Mankind's like,
right.
I'll stop you, bitch.
Yeah.
For Mankind. Dude, Mankind's one of the best promo guys.
Yeah, he is.
Even though like that crazy shit.
He's got a method.
Yeah.
And he's really got it down to his character.
Let's see. Kane beats him in a fucking devastating match, dude. He beat the shit out of fucking Mankind.
Yeah.
Shots.
You got to build him up.
Yeah.
You got to build up your monster.
He slammed. This is a great build-up. If you guys want to see how destructive Kane is, go watch this. I'm telling you, he beats the fuck out of poor Mankind. Slams him on the fucking walkway a bunch of times. It looks like it fucking hurts. Mm-hmm. I think Mankind's on the turnbuckle, waiting to jump out at Kane. Kane jumps up on the apron, grabs him, and throws him down to the floor.
Yeah.
He lands on the mats, but it's still disgusting how he fucking just thuds.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mankind was notorious for taking crazy bumps like that. I don't know how that guy is not having trouble getting around. Like I know he was, but I'm just surprised that he's not as bad as he could be.
I don't know how his daughter's so hot.
Oh yeah, that too.
She's fucking hot as
shit. Well, the mom's hot.
Okay.
Was hot.
Okay.
I don't know if she is now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know.
4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match. Ken Shamrock.
Whoa, hold on. You know, if Mick Foley was able to get, you know, a hot wife,
mm-hmm.
I gotta say he's probably a good salesman.
Or he's got a big piece on him.
Yeah, one or the other, or both.
Mm-hmm. Are you a big Louis C.K. fan? Devastated by the news, bro.
Is he here in Full Heel Studios?
Oh yeah, come on out.
Is he gonna be nude?
No. Yeah, I don't know how he got his wife, but he got her.
Good for him.
Ken Shamrock, Ahmed Johnson, Legion of Doom. Ooh, what a rush. Versus We Are the Nation of Domination. One of my favorite factions.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
No,
they're badass.
I guess.
Heel faction.
Yeah, I guess. They had a PG-13 as that little rap group that would come out with them.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I just like the storyline too. Like it has a good It has a good storyline supporting it.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. The whole Rock taking over from Farouk and Farouk being the only black heavyweight champion ever.
Yeah.
I guess The Rock is now too, right? But the first ever black heavyweight champion. And then forming the Nation of Domination.
Well, yeah, you're dating back to
WCW. Yeah. But then he's in WWF, forms the Nation of Domination with D'Lo Brown, Papa Shango, What was he at the time now?
Kama.
Yeah.
The Supreme Fighting Machine.
I remember him as Papa Shango.
Yeah. And then...
The Godfather after this.
Yeah.
That's what leads into The Godfather.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I really like the Nation of Domination.
Okay.
It gives The Rock his bravado. It leads him into The Rock.
It really brought him out. It
Yeah.
really brought his character out.
And I think that was the perfect way to do it, too. Letting him take over a cool little organization like that.
Yeah.
Kicking Farouk out. Ahmed Johnson was supposed to be in there, right?
He was in there for a while, but they were building up some kind of feud between Ahmed Johnson and Farouk.
Mm-hmm. And I think Farouk kicked him out.
Yeah. Yep. And he legit injured Ahmed Johnson's kidneys or something like that.
Farouk did?
Yeah, he legitimately lacerated one of his kidneys with some. I think he threw him into the stairs, or something like that, and it resulted in him getting an internal laceration in the kidney.
So the Nation of Domination gets beat, and Ken Shamrock gets put over really strong at the end. He takes out D'Lo and The Rock.
Yeah.
Or Rocky Maivia, I think he was at the time.
Yeah.
Still. Was he? Yep, he's still Rocky Maivia. Yeah, but he beats them both, putting over Ken really strong. They were pushing Ken really a lot.
Yeah.
At this time,
because he was a legit fighter
from the UFC,
and he had the background. I'm surprised he wasn't champion ever.
Is this his first run in the WWE?
Yeah.
Because I know if he was fighting in the UFC, it would have been 92 when he started, and he would have been known. And then the WWE brought him in at this time. Then this was 97, 5 years later.
Yeah, so they had to have brought him in earlier that year, maybe even late 96. But I'm surprised that he was never champion.
Yeah.
He should have been.
Was there ever heat with him and Vince?
I don't think so.
Or was it because he was a UFC guy and Vince is like, I can't put a title on the UFC guy?
And yet, Brock Lesnar in 2017.
Well, Brock Lesnar jumped.
Well, yeah, that's true. He got to
from
start.
WWE. Yeah,
he got to start in WWE. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but I think he should have been champion. Somebody as legit as Ken Shamrock.
Mm-hmm. The world's most dangerous man.
Maybe there was something he was missing or needed to brush up on, because I've heard that it's a difficult transition going from MMA to pro wrestling.
He was talking about it. He said for Jack Swagger it's going to get difficult or something.
Yeah, it's difficult to go from one to another.
He was saying for McGregor it would be difficult to do.
Yeah, it's completely different training. But maybe I don't know what the deal is. Maybe he thought that he was missing something somewhere and just didn't see him as champion. Although, and this kind of ties in with what happens later. There were talks about Bret Hart dropping the belt to Shamrock, and then it would have been Shamrock and Michaels.
Well, that's what Bret wanted.
Yeah,
that's not what.
That was something that he suggested.
Yeah, that was Bret's alternative to what we can get into right now.
Yeah,
but Ken Shamrock's team wins. They beat the Nation of Domination. He beats two of the guys. Then we got what? We got Austin 316 versus Owen Hart. What is it? The shirt he was wearing?
The
Austin 316, I just broke your neck.
The Owen 316.
Owen 316, I just broke your neck.
Yeah.
I think that's when he debuted the shirt. He was wearing the shirt. This is the first time Austin could get his hands on Owen after he broke his neck.
Mm-hmm.
At the Survivor Series? No.
Wasn't it? I believe it was SummerSlam, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, this is Survivor Series.
Yeah.
It's at the SummerSlam, yeah.
Yeah.
think it's at the SummerSlam. I reviewed it. I did one. I don't know which one exactly.
No, we did SummerSlam, and I think that's when Owen broke the neck.
He broke his neck. So I think Austin's back, and he finally gets to get his hands on Owen.
Right.
And Owen's trying to get eliminated. He's fucking plays a great role in this match. Mm-hmm. He's just doing everything illegal or that he can, and he's telling the ref, disqualify me. He's just yelling, disqualify me. And the ref doesn't want to do it because he wants to give Austin his fair chance at fighting for the belt, just because he knows Owen's going for the disqualification. Owen playing the heel, wanting to keep the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Not avoiding Austin this whole time.
Yeah.
It's a quick match, though. Austin ends it pretty quick as soon as they kind of get order.
So, okay, I was getting a little lost here. So the neck break thing happens the year before at SummerSlam 97.
Okay.
This is Survivor Series. This is Survivor Series 98.
No, this is 97.
Oh. Okay, then I'm completely lost here because there's no way Austin broke his neck at SummerSlam 97 only to be wrestling like 3 months later. That's crazy if that actually happened. Right?
I don't know.
Did I just blow your mind?
No, like it kind of makes sense. It shouldn't have been that fast. I just don't remember exactly.
Because didn't the neck break thing happen on the same card as Bret and the Undertaker on SummerSlam?
That was a WrestleMania.
That wasn't WrestleMania.
That was Summer. Now I know what you're talking about. The posters, Bret and the Undertaker's on top.
Yeah, Undertaker's like in the background, all spooky.
That's SummerSlam 97.
Yeah. And then this is Survivor Series 97.
It's been months then.
For a neck injury that serious, I find it hard to believe that Austin would be wrestling that soon.
We could look it up, I guess.
I'm looking it up now.
All right. Well, Stone Cold. I'm telling you, I think it feeds into the storyline that he hadn't gotten his hands on him. And this is the first time he gets to get his hands on him. On Owen.
Right.
Steve Austin gets to finally face Owen after he breaks his neck. After he broke his neck. Why don't you just look up Austin...
I am.
Stone Cold Steve Austin broken neck.
I am.
Nothing?
It took me... Hang on. You might have to edit this out. Yeah,
No.
it's SummerSlam.
See, it was a quick...
It's SummerSlam 1997.
Yeah, and this is 97 as well. This is Survivor Series 97.
That's so weird. That's bad.
Like, he came back fast, dude. This is 97.
I mean, consider that Austin thought he was paralyzed. Mm-hmm. When
it happened.
Yeah, he thought he was paralyzed. He couldn't move. It's crazy to think that like 4 or 5 months later he's wrestling again. It was a different time, I guess.
I don't know, dude. It seems like a really short turnaround for a neck injury. You're right. That's why I was kind of second guessing myself, but I'm like, no.
But
I'm like, it feeds into it because I remember watching it and they were talking about how it was the first time he gets to get his hands on Owen after he fucked him up.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's what was blowing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fact that what a quick turnaround time it was.
Austin's a beast, bro.
Yeah, I guess. Again, that's one of those guys that's surprising. He's not in any worse shape than.
What?
Yeah.
Quick 4-minute match. Didn't last long, but
Oh well, that might explain. Well, that might explain why it was such a quick match. He probably wasn't 100%.
Austin beats Owen,
Yep.
gets the WWF Intercontinental Championship, and then we get to the main event.
Yep. The
most memorable,
infamous...
the most memorable storyline, the biggest heat that anything has ever gotten.
Yep. The infamous.
The old Montreal glory hole screw job.
Hey, do you think that was
Hey, who's interviewing who here, bro?
Do you think that's a work? And everybody's just kept it secret, and at this point, it's like
Bret knew,
Vince knew,
and they're like,
everybody was in on it.
They're like, hey, look, let's just make up the storyline, and you go get your money.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so, and we'll get into it. Why not? But who screwed who? Well,
everybody.
I think it's pretty clear that they're screwing on both sides.
Everybody was at fault here. Everybody involved was at fault here. When Shawn says he didn't know, I don't think he knew.
No, he came out later and said he did.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He comes out later and says he does know.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's news to me. Everybody's at fault. I think Shawn's a victim here too. I'm not defending him. He was a shitty person back then.
Even if he knew, I don't think it really, it's not his company. He was told what to do.
Yeah.
He's the wrestler for that promotion.
Yeah. And there's been talks about him deliberately trying to get fired to go to WCW so that they can keep Bret, but they didn't want to let him go. And this is all leading up to this to Survivor Series. So he was that whole year, 96, 97. He had been trying to get fired. Just to be able to go to WCW to be with Hall and Nash.
Mm-hmm.
But Bret was... I think Bret was just taking everything a little bit too seriously. He didn't want to lose in Canada. He didn't want to drop the belt. He didn't want to play along. You know, he was like a mark for himself.
Yeah, that's what I've come more and more to realize, that he... And I hate to say it, man, but he was
kind of asking for it.
He was becoming more and more a little bit like Hogan, and I think that's what Vince was scared of. He gave Hogan so much power, and he saw what Hogan was able to do with it. Yeah. Now he was able to stifle the company and kind of hold it back and do shit with it. And I think he knew Bret would have had that same power if he would have given it to him.
Yeah, and
ego wise,
there's just so many layers to it. That I don't even know if I can give a condensed version of it, but there's a whole back and forth between Shawn and Bret. Bret drops the title to Shawn at WrestleMania 12. They create a little rivalry between them that actually, at first they were just doing it for show, so that everybody backstage could see, hey, look, we have a legitimate rivalry, but it's not real. And it actually turns out real. It becomes real. And they, Shawn at one point tells Bret, hey, I'm not going to drop the belt to you just like you drop it to me. I'm never going to do that for you.
Yeah.
And Bret takes that very seriously.
Well, Bret kind of hates everything that Shawn does, like his flamboyantness, his not PG-ness, his not
yeah, everything just kind of snowballs.
Yeah, and
they take little shots at each other, and with every shot that they take, it gets more and more personal until the whole Sunny Days comment happens, and that's when it gets really personal. Bret gets pissed off. They have a backstage fight. Allegedly, Bret pulled a clump of hair
Yeah, I heard
from
that one
Shawn
too.
Michaels.
There's a lot of story. Well, there's a lot of stories, and
Yeah, there's a lot of layers.
them. Yeah, a lot of them seem to indicate that Bret beat up Shawn.
Yeah,
Shawn's side of the story. I've only heard like another story, and it seems to be Shawn's story that they both had like they both got the better of each other, and this guy pulled out a piece of his hair.
well, hey, look,
Or
man.
they both got each other good.
Look, if you and me went at it and you kicked my ass, I would never admit it. I'd say, oh yeah, I got him as good as he got me.
Well, that's what Shawn
So
said,
that's-
and people in there were saying, nah, Bret beat the fuck out of him. Like,
Yeah.
he was ragdolling.
Yeah.
And he was the bigger guy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He was the bigger guy, so...
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm not saying Shawn isn't a good wrestler. I'm saying Bret's style is more bully, tough guy. He knows how to technically wrestle you. His dad comes from that old school mentality of where they actually wrestled.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Shawn doesn't know how. I'm just saying he was more of a high flyer to some extent. He incorporated that more into his thing. So I would say Bret, being the bigger man and studying more in old school wrestling, probably ragdolled Shawn a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. So I would believe that Bret beat up Shawn.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of layers, going into this match that eventually, it gets more and more personal as time goes on. And it erupts into this. Shawn wants, at this point, more than anything to go to WCW. I think he even quits. And then, like 2 weeks later, he comes back. On screen, he does the whole Lost My Smile thing where he gives up the belt. Bret ends up with the belt. And then from there, I think that's when he loses it to Undertaker at SummerSlam.
Bret
Yeah.
Bret wins it from the Undertaker at SummerSlam.
Wait, does he?
Because
Oh yeah.
Shawn-
I'm thinking about.
Shawn chair shot
Right,
or
right,
tries
right.
to hit Bret.
Yeah, that's how he ends up as 5-time champion. You're right.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks because like he's one of the first time 5-time champions besides Hogan, and it's kind of like he got it because this guy hit him with a chair.
Right.
Which always kind of seemed to be the story for Bret, man. It always seemed to be like a caveat to his title. Like, well, you're champion because this guy's not here. Or he's not going to drop it to you, he'll drop it to Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit.
Yeah, and then Hogan comes in and
Wins it. Yeah.
that's funny. But yeah, there's a lot of a lot of layers.
There's a lot of layers. Yeah, and then one of the layers that I'm going to throw on there. So when they give him the contract to stay for like I don't know how many years.
Isn't it a
20 year
contract?
I don't know how much money. It's not a ton of money, but it's good money. I think Vince at that time realized Shawn and Triple H, they were getting over with the crowd. Austin's getting over with the crowd. You have a lot of heels getting over with the crowd. And Bret was, and I've said it before, he was stuck on the wrong end of an era. Like he was stuck in a transition era.
Yeah.
Where his height got mixed in with the transitioning of the
new
switch of the
generation.
guard. It's a switching of the guard.
Yeah.
And he realized it. Vince realized it. Like when he's
But there were other guys that I think fall into that category too. Like Vader is one of them. Sid is one of them. I think Farouk could have been one of them had he not found Bradshaw and became the APA. But it's interesting to think if Bret would have actually stayed, what could they have done with him?
well, what could they have done with him?
They would have had to find something for him to do in the sense that they found something for Farouk to do with Bradshaw.
Because they've asked Eric Bischoff, do you think you could have, like, do you wish you could have done more with Bret? And I think he even says that Bret came in not wanting to work. Like, he didn't want to work with them. he already had a mentality. And then he got hurt right away.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt right away, and that was it.
Yeah, and if you're Bret Hart, you know, how do you not have that?
Yeah. You're the son of Stu Hart, 5-time WWF champion.
Yeah, you carried...
You're the hitman.
You basically carried the WWF through some of its hardest financial eras.
When Hogan was fucking around.
Yeah.
Who'd they put the title on?
They put it right. Bret. They put it right back on him.
Good old Bret, and he was always the company man. That's what sucks, man, because there's so many layers to this. Because he was such a company man, and then when the company started seeing the switch of the guard, they're like, we can't keep our contract, bro. Go to WCW. We see what's going on here. These guys are catching heat, and can you really blame them? Like, they're a business.
Yeah.
Bret should have dropped the title to whoever they wanted to, knowing that it was better for the business of the WWF to continue.
But that just goes to show you how personal it got with Bret and Shawn. He just didn't want. He didn't want. I think ultimately what he didn't want was Shawn to look good at his expense.
And like how you were saying, another layer to this shit. So Bret was always a good guy. He was always loved by everybody, and that was his thing. And then they turned him heel.
Yeah, heel Bret was one of the best.
But then you have the rise of the heels right away too. So he's like, shit, now I'm gonna land the heels where, like, I'm just gonna get lost in here and they're gonna pass me up. And then, fuck, he even says it. He says in the SummerSlam match between him and Taker, when Shawn hits him, he's like, so you're turning Shawn heel, and he's scooping my heat.
Yeah.
And you see the ego, but he's right. He's right. Because Shawn took that heat, and look what happened.
Yeah. And from there, it just kind of snowballs into what D-Generation X will become.
Mm-hmm. The whole switching of the guard.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That I just never thought about it like that. Like Bret just being on the wrong end of an era.
To me, that's how it kind of came off. Like, he just got, man, like that transition.
Yeah.
The transition and the whole Hogan fucking with the whole company at the time and coming in, coming out, suing. Did he sue them? Or were they suing him?
Hogan?
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever any.
Between him and the WWF?
Yeah, I don't think there was ever any.
Well, he was doing his movies. He was just in and out a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of layers to this Montreal ScrewJob.
Yeah, and I think I think it was the only thing that you could do. You know, Bret wasn't gonna.
Bret wasn't dropping it.
Bret wasn't. He wasn't playing ball.
No.
He wanted it to end in a. He wanted a dusty finish, you know, where like it's an unclear finish. You don't get.
He hit him with a bicycle.
Yeah.
He hit him with a bicycle.
You don't get a clear finish, and the belt doesn't change hands. So he didn't want the belt to change hands, and he was going to come out on Raw the next night and vacate it.
What kind of shit is that, though?
Nakamura vacated the
New Japan?
Yeah.
When he left?
Yeah, he vacated the belt.
I didn't know that.
But that it was a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what other way you could have done it. If I'm Bret, and I'm thinking about this from a logical perspective, no matter how personal it got, take the damn belt and I'm gonna go to WCW and make money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because at the end of the day, it wasn't his company. They just entrusted it to him for the time that he was there.
And then another fucking layer. Bret, like, again, he was the company man. He didn't want to leave the company. He wanted to work with them. Not knowing that they're like, yeah, whatever, dude. We're gonna fuck you.
Well, yeah, they gave him they gave him the contract, the 20-year contract, only to rescind it later on.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave him they gave him a modified contract. I think they wanted to give him less money for an extended period of time, and then once that was up, they were going to give him more. So eventually he would make his money. It's just it would be in different increments.
Mm-hmm. I think it was like $500,000 till a certain point. Then it was $750,000.
Yeah,
a year or something, something like that.
Yeah. Whereas I think they offered him like $3 million in WCW, or $5 million.
I think it was $3 million.
So
and then they came back at him with like $2.8 million, like the WWF or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So if you're Bret, I want to make $1 million.
Mm-hmm. So he went to WCW? Because I'm pretty sure the WWF didn't come scratch at him. The WWF did not come back at him with that much money.
There's no way that they could have.
No, because he would have gone with them.
Yeah.
But he goes to WCW. And here's the thing I was just thinking about right now, too. How was Bret ever going to make it there with Hogan there? Again, he went from getting always like stiffed because Hogan was always champion, to a company where Hogan was booking and wrestling.
Where he could exercise his creative control.
Yeah. He was gonna get nowhere again because Hogan. All the pay-per-views I'm going back and watching, fucking Hogan's champion.
And if I recall correctly, I think at this time Bret was trying to transition more into acting. Like I know he was doing a show called Lonesome Dove, and he wanted. I had never heard of it either, but I know he was trying to do that show, and he's trying to do some other like pirate show. But I think it would have been better if Bret went away for a couple years and then came back to WCW or WWE.
I heard rumors that he was supposed to be the third guy.
Yeah, they were trying to get him.
I think Hogan is the best.
Bischoff approached Bret, and it's out there that Bret said what he wanted in terms of money. He wanted to make what Hogan was making and 1 penny more.
Yeah. So I love Bret, but there's always this ego thing too, man. Where like,
well, that was him because he didn't want to go, and he knew I'll throw this ridiculous offer at them, and they're gonna say no, and they can have a number to go back to their people.
And I don't want to sound like a jerk. It's not ego. It's like you said, he was a mark for the Hitman.
Yeah.
He didn't want to.
He bought into his own hype.
Yeah. He bought into his own hype.
Yep.
And he didn't want to lose that hype.
I don't think it's so much that he didn't want to lose it. I think he didn't want to lose it at the expense of Shawn, yeah.
To HBK.
Yep.
The Hitman. Bret Hart. The Heartbreak Kid. Isn't that beautiful? Does that write itself?
That's our imitating life right there.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
So then, did we even go into the match? No, right?
No. It's a crazy match. Bret goes into this match thinking, okay, we're gonna do some screwy finish where I end up with the belt, and then I'm gonna drop it tomorrow night, and then that's it. So they start off outside the ring, right?
Yeah, they're fighting outside for a while.
Yeah,
for like a good while.
So you don't get the bell ring until a while.
They're hitting officials and everything, fighting on the Titan. Well, like it's not even the Titantron
from the entrance area.
Yeah, the entrance area. It's not even Titantron at that time. And then Vince is yelling at them to go in. So it already seems weird because like Vince and Sergeant Slaughter at ringside, and then you have China and No, I think they got sent away.
Vince isn't on commentary. This is the first time he's not on commentary.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he's not on commentary, but he's out there chilling.
Yeah, and at this time, if you're a casual fan who's not keeping up with what's actually going on, and you're just kind of going off of what's happening on TV, you're not supposed to know that Vince is the owner of the company.
He was just a commentator.
Yeah. Yep.
And at some point during the match, Bret goes for like a top rope thing. Earl Hebner gets pulled in front of him. Earl Hebner gets knocked out.
Yeah.
At this point, from what I saw from Wrestling with Shadows, at this point, Bret thinks that Shawn is supposed to lock in the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
And he's not supposed to let go. And Earl's out. So he thinks this is when the run-in happens and the disqualification happens.
Yeah.
But what happens is Earl gets up. The sharpshooter's being locked in at this time as Earl's getting up. And the bell's rung without a tap.
Yeah. I if I'm not mistaken, Owen and Bulldog are supposed to come in and do the running, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were there. They were in the aftermath, from what I remember.
Yeah, because they were at their cue
in the gorilla position.
In gorilla, and they're just waiting for their cue, and then the bell rings abruptly. So before they can even go out there, the match is over.
How pissed were you?
I was confused. More than anything, like the ref is out, and the bell rings, and it's like, what's going on? And then you just see Bret going crazy, destroying monitors and writing WCW in the air. And it's funny because I remember reading somewhere at like, I think like at school. I remember going on a wrestling site at school and reading that it was supposed to be Bret Hart's last match. But I don't want to believe it because I was really into Bret Hart at that time. And I'm like, nah, there's no way he's going anywhere.
So you were a Bret guy over a Shawn guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
What about now?
I don't know. I'm a Paul Heyman guy.
You're a Paul Heyman guy? Damn, yeah. You got me there. Got me there, bro. Yeah, so he got screwed.
Yeah, the bell was rung without Bret knowing that this was gonna happen. Like I said, he thought it was gonna be a weird finish, and Bret grabs the belt, or Shawn grabs the belt and gets the hell out of it
with his horrible acting because he knew what was going on.
Yeah,
I think he tells Vince, "Not like this" or something like that. Not like this.
Yeah,
and then he takes off with the belt.
Yeah, I think Bret says in his book, I remember reading this somewhere, that he's talking to Vince and he's talking to Shawn, and he's asking Shawn, did you know this was going to happen?
Oh, I did. I saw the documentary and it's in there.
But he says that Shawn's crying, saying that he didn't know.
Oh, you can hear Shawn.
Crying?
Oh, I don't know about crying, but like you can hear Shawn telling him that he didn't know. So Bret's with his kid next to him.
Yeah.
And Bret's like taking off his gear, and you hear the locker room open, and it's Shawn.
Yeah.
But you can't even see him; he's off camera. And Bret looks up and he's like, "Shawn, did you know? Were you in on this?" And Shawn's like, "I had no idea, man. I swear to God." He's like, "My hands are clean on this one, dude." He's like, "I swear to God." And then Vince comes in.
Yeah.
I think Shawn leaves, and then Vince comes in. And then the camera crew's rolling at this time and everything. You can't see Vince, though.
Yeah.
And then Bret's like, yeah, you might want to turn that off. And the cameras go off.
Yeah. So Bret hits Vince.
Yeah.
To the point where he actually knocks him out.
Mm-hmm.
And Bret is gonna try something else, but I think Pat Patterson and Briscoe, they get involved. They're holding back Bret, and I think one of them steps on Vince's ankle and breaks it.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Because after the cameras turn back on, it's outside the locker room, and Vince is walking away like his hair's all fucked up.
yeah, and he's all woozy.
Yeah, he's
I
all
remember
woozy
that.
and like walking all weird. And then they have a segment. I don't know how long it is after that, where Jim Ross, I think it was, or asks him who screwed who, or who's and
Yeah, the famous Bret screwed Bret.
yeah, Bret screwed Bret
interview.
speech, and if you look closely, you can see he's got
still,
a bruise, and he's like it's yellow and
he
like
still has a
purple.
black eye.
Yeah, so Bret knocked the shit out of McMahon for screwing him.
Yeah, and then his ankle got broken on top of it. Jeez.
So all in all, it's a super layered, badass story.
There's a really interesting story in the background of this pay-per-view and this match.
Both kayfabe and not kayfabe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All in all, an awesome Survivor Series, topped off with a crazy Montreal ScrewJob. I can't put it in any other words.
Yeah, no, and it's a shame what Bret would go on to do in WCW. Well, it's a shitty way to end his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Getting knocked out by Goldberg.
Do you blame Goldberg?
No.
Goldberg was really green, man.
Yeah, that's why I can't blame him, because he's expressed remorse. But
if people don't know, he concussed Bret Hart, kicked him in the head.
He gave him a super kick that resulted in a concussion, which Bret would later suffer a stroke from, and he wouldn't wrestle after that. And this was like in 99 or 2000. But you can't blame Goldberg. He didn't know what he was doing.
Hoju?
Yes.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, this was good.
Thanks a lot for coming, dude. I had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
For sure. We can come up with the next one that we're gonna do.
Oh man, I already know.
Starcade's coming up.
Starcade 97.
Starcade's coming up. So I need to check out Starcades. I don't remember a lot about them.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I need to check out some more Survivor Series. I'm gonna try to put out 2 more before the month ends, and I have like 2 days, so I need to get on watching it. I only put out. This will be the 3rd though Survivor Series that I put out for this month. Maybe I'll do 1 more.
Okay.
But I did 2 on the Montreal ScrewJob. It merits 2. It's the Montreal fucking ScrewJob, and I definitely want to talk to you about this one. And I wanted to talk to a real life Canadian, and that's why I talked with. I had from the Average Joe's MMA show, Ryan Dempsey. Shout outs to him and Jeff.
That's awesome.
They have a badass show, but I had Ryan on. He's Canadian. I want to have his, and he's a little bit older than me too, so I want to have his thoughts and his point of view. It was cool to have. I'll have them more on sometimes too.
Yep.
But again, thanks a lot for coming on, Hoju. I love when you come on. That's why we started this, to talk about old school wrestling. I always have a blast.
I'm still here.
We're still breathing, brother.
Yep.
For life.
Too sweet.
Yeah, too sweet. We'll see when the next one is. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening. I'll put this one out as soon as possible. Take it easy, donkeys.
Yep.